Welcome to the BS3 Radio YouTube page, YouTube channel, as we do every single week. We give you guys a new video on a topic that we're talking about. And we're talking about the NBA returning, which is going to be coming up July the 31st. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you click that bell so you can be on top of all the content we're putting out. We'll be putting out new stuff every single week, like I said. We got my brothers here with me. We got Courtney Harden. What's going on, Courtney?
What's going on, y'all? How you guys doing? I'm doing all right. How you guys doing?
Good, man.
Good. We got Todd Mack, Strength in Numbers.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Go Warriors, baby. You know, we ain't in the restart, but we going to be around.
And we got my pops up there. You got the Wall of Fame right there with the Splash Brothers and everything. How you doing tonight?
There you go. I'm doing good. Dub Nation for life, baby. Dub Nation.
So as we talk about this reboot, by a show of hands, how many of y'all teams is actually going to be in the reboot? It's like it's only me.
Okay. You're gonna start out like that, huh?
I got to. So,
all right.
NBA coming up with this return. They're gonna be playing in Orlando. It's not what we're used to. It's not something that we've seen before. But we're in a different time right now. We're in a different time. We're in a different state of the nation. Everything. So I'm happy that it's coming back. When everything was starting to come out, I was like, okay, we're about to get basketball back. It's gonna be a good thing. Something that we want to see, and we're about to see a huge clutter of almost every sport going on at the same time. So I'm excited. But Courtney, you haven't been on in a couple of weeks. Give me your thoughts on with the NBA coming back. What was your initial thoughts and feelings with it?
I love it, man. I never had that much doubt that it wasn't going to come back. The only way I thought it wasn't going to come back if it kept moving, time kept moving, they weren't making any moves. But Adam Silver, he was the first one to really shut down his major sport, the NBA during the coronavirus when Rudy Gobert first got it in March. So he was one of the first leagues to really shut down. As soon as they got the one, he's like, I'm done. So, but he always stated that if we can get the health measures, if we can get safety measures and get those all in play, then we're going to have a season. So I was super excited, and they still had a little bit of time. They still had time. I think they still had until like July or August to really make a move to make sure, they have a season. So now it extends all the way into October. So yeah, I'm excited. I was just reading an article on ESPN.com. It was talking about the negotiations, what happened or whatever. So I was interested that Chris Paul, Bob Iger from Disney, chairman of Disney, Adam Silver and Michelle Roberts, they were all just connected. And Chris Paul and Bob Iger are like best friends, which I didn't even know anything about that. So, that's a lot of good connections to have. And just they talked and they negotiated. And, every team except for the Portland Trailblazers voted for yes on this restart. So it's exciting. I think we need the sports, especially at this time. And, I'm excited for the NBA to come back.
Yeah. And I love Dame. I love the Blazers. But Dame, y'all not in it anyway. So I don't know why you being salty about your vote with this whole situation.
Well, they are in. Portland is in.
Oh, they are in?
Teams. What? Yeah, 22
Portland
teams.
in. They in.
The 8th? The 7th or the 8th? Or what? The 6th?
They fighting for that 8th seed.
Right there with
the 9th.
They're
fighting for the 8th seed. They're 9th right now.
Oh, okay.
But there's going to be 20 – I don't know if you got me next. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Nah, go ahead. You can go ahead and lead it off. Go ahead.
There's going to be 22 teams in.
Okay.
And there's only one in the East that's actually going to qualify that's below the 8th seed, which is Washington. And the rest are eliminated. But then you have in the West, you have 5 below the 8th seed. And I guess you would get into the names later on. And the other 2 are eliminated because between the 9th and the 14th or the 13th place team, the difference is only 4 games. They say so if you're 4 games or less, you actually can get in. So out of the 22, you have the 13, from the West, and then you have 9 from the East. But yeah, I'm excited. I mean, we had a nice layoff and got a chance for all the players to get healthy, and so it'll be interesting. I've watched all of the classics, throwbacks that I can take. I want to verbally protest that they play LeBron and Kobe. I know Kobe, they want to lift up the Lakers, but they played the Miami Heat with LeBron and the Cleveland Cavaliers with LeBron, and so that was kind of a little over the top. Actually they have a pretty good game on tonight. They got Houston and Boston on tonight, but so it's good to get the NBA back in again. It was a necessary delay. I'm glad they just suspended it and didn't cancel the whole season, but because of the coronavirus, it was necessary to make sure we get the curve flattened or get it in a downward trend. And I think Orlando is an ideal place, especially in the summertime. So it'll be a popular place, even though you can't have fans there, but at least the families, can enjoy themselves, even though you're probably going to be in a bubble, be in quarantine majority of the time. But as long as they have the testing, I'm glad the testing is now available. And I think with the testing and with the locations being secluded, that it should work out. So yeah, I'm excited. We always think about this time of the year. I was talking to the wife, and normally we get tickets because we coming to the Bay Area for a parade in June. but it won't be a parade this year.
Not this year.
Next year.
In the Bay Area, we don't know what a parade's going to be. But, it's going to be interesting that we're going to start back up in July, considering normally, the parade championship is in June. But regardless of when it takes place, I know it's going to be exciting and it's going to be interesting as far as the play and being secluded, because you look at now you're going to be able to hear everything. You're going to be able to hear the trash talking. You're going to be able to hear the complaints of the ref.
The bleep button better be ready because
yeah. So that's going to be exciting, and yeah, it's just time. It's time, and I'm glad they was able to come to a collective agreement. And I know you're going to talk about how they discussed it and how Jordan had a big input, on how the format should be. So it'll be interesting. I'm excited about it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it too. All right, go ahead, Ty.
I'm excited basketball is back. You know what I'm saying? Basketball being my a huge passion of mine, it's my first love, and just seeing the competitive nature, man. Seeing it back on the floor, seeing, the players kind of put it all out there, the most skilled players in the world kind of going at it. And it's going to be a little different because there is no audience. There's no crowd to kind of get you energized and things like that, right? So it's going to be interesting to see how players fuel themselves in this process. Right. How they encourage each other, things like that, and really keep it together. So I'm ready. I'm ready to see it happen. I think that the way that they're going about this was probably as fair as possible. Allowing teams who had a legitimate opportunity to still make the playoffs actually try to get in still. And I was, again, as Mr. Sutter said, you're going to probably talk about the format, so I'll let you do that. But I'm ready. I'm ready to kind of see what happens and, see this extended season and crown a champion, asterisk next to it, but crown a champion,
Right. Yeah, this is definitely going to have an asterisk next to it because this is something that we've never seen before. We haven't even had anything like this in a lockout season. Even when they had lockout season, they still had some type of finishing to the season. So let's talk about the teams that are going to be invited. So Dad kind of touched on that. The Bucks, the Raptors, the Celtics, Heat, Pacers, 76ers, Nets, Magic, and Wizards. That's coming from the East. From the West, obviously we got the Lakers. Obviously we got the Clippers. There's no surprise there. Nuggets, Jazz, Thunder, Rockets, Mavs, as you can see, Mavs, Grizzlies, Blazers, Pelicans, Kings, Spurs, and Suns. And I think I like the lineup and I like what they have. And let me pause real quick just to say this. We had a video last week where we talked about George Floyd, and I got to pay respect to Popovich, man. Popovich is coming one of my favorite coaches, even though I don't like the Spurs. I didn't really like him either, but I had to come in and say that this guy's been speaking up. Not just saying like, hey, we need to do better, but really pointing a finger at himself and at people, at white people. So I think I like what what he was coming out and talking about. I think it's great. So let's talk about the format. Dad, I know you got some notes there. Go ahead and touch on the format and what we have to look forward to there.
Oh, okay. So basically, from the top, Jordan had a great input, not only as a NBA Hall of Famer, but also as a former player and a current owner. And his basic concern was he didn't want it to be too gimmicky, because he was basically stressing that, all that we've been through, as a country, we wanted some type of normalcy. So he said, one of the goals is to come back and have it as normal as possible, not such of a gimmick, because a lot of people that was in the meeting was proposing some unique tournaments, kind of like a pool play, like international competition does. And Jordan was like, well, the world has been through so much, and we've been through so much with not only the pandemic, but with the unrest. So basically said, let's kind of make it as normal as possible. So basically you have 22 teams, and out of the 22, there's going to be a eight game, I guess you can consider it a play-in.
Right.
And in the play-in series, so you have to be between the 8th and 9th place team. You got to be 4 games within the 8th or 9th place team. That's why we have 13 teams that are going in, out of the West, and you only have 9 going in out of the East, because when you look at the East record, the 8th Orlando is 30-35, and then the 9th team, which is Charlotte, or the 10th team, which is Charlotte, is 23-42. So there are too many games out to even have an opportunity. But you have the 9th team that's only 4 or 6 away from the 8th, so they're able to get in. And then on the West, it's the opposite, basically. You have 4 teams, the 9th all the way up to the 13th pick, that are within 4 games of the 9th. So it'll be an 8-game play-in. It's as long as the 8th team wins 1 game, 8th seed wins 1 game, they'll get in, they qualify. The 9th seed need to win at least 2 games in order to qualify. And then you look at the normal format as far as who has the best record as far as percentage-wise. And that's why mathematically it's possible for New Orleans and Sacramento to get in. But it's up to Portland, basically, because Portland, they basically won that series between those 2 teams, the Pelicans and the Kings. So if Portland has an even record with those 2 teams, they'll automatically get in, because they went 1-1 against them. So they have a higher winning percentage, plus they went 1-1 against them. So then you look at the Pelicans, the Kings, they must have a better record than the Blazers to get in. And, you got an 8-game play-in, that's possible, But, I can't count Dame out. That's an Oakland boy, and I think he's going to be motivated, to play. But then you got to look at the Pelicans, man. I mean, I guess being in this pandemic and being isolated and quarantined, because they're so young, they haven't had an opportunity to actually gel, and they were starting to gel, and they were starting to get their play to where they got more familiar with one another, kind of like the Lakers, and they were on a roll, kind of like the Clippers. So this layoff may be a little downer for the Pelicans, and the Kings are fairly young too. So it's going to be see how they can get back in form, being a young team, and and then make that run too. So then you have Jazz, which is 3.5 games behind the Jazz, the Pelicans and the Kings, and then you have the Spurs. Spurs, which are 4 games back. And Popovich, like you said, that old wily, veteran coach, he may be able to pull some strings in order to get them to play where they need to play. They may be able to play in. So it's going to be interesting, with the play-in, a little different, but I think because of that, they're giving the teams that are not in the 9th or 8th seed an opportunity to get into the playoffs.
Yeah.
Which I think is fair considering the time that they had off and how many games they had left.
Right, true. And Ty, you mentioned the crowd. So I'm hearing that they're talking about pumping in some crowd noise from some NBA 2K type of crowd noise or something. Which, I mean, that's cool. It's still probably gonna sound weird because we're just not used to it. And I think an example to this is you look at the UFC. If you watch some of the highlights, you're hearing their heads hitting the mat. You're hearing basically every possible sound that you can hear. And Courtney, kind of touch on that. I know you're a UFC guy, but what do you? How are you thinking the NBA is going to do with rolling this out? And is there any other thing as far as the format that kind of intrigues you?
Yeah, I mean, your dad definitely broke that down because it's complicated if you read it, because it's different. I mean, that's what the times we're in. But I like the format. I think that with the way the format is, it's almost sort of like summer league in a way. If you think about it, they're all in one bubble or campus or however you want to call it, and then in Disney World. So they're going to be playing like 6-7 games. In a day, just continue to keep playing the game. My only concern would have been the 8 regular season games. I know they try to give them some time, and the teams give them a chance to actually get that last seed. But if they wanted to get it done because of the pandemic and maybe some caution of COVID going on, they could have shortened that regular season too. They could have shortened it to maybe 4 games, make it a little bit faster. But I mean, that's a minor complaint. But 8 regular season games it's like I said, the NBA's back, which we're excited about. And according without the crowd, with the noise, it is interesting because with the UFC, and you can hear everything. Like you can hear people getting punched. You can hear their heads getting slammed to the ground. And I heard one fight a couple weeks ago. I guess he said, "My teeth are falling out," and you can hear the crunch of a guy getting punched with his teeth falling out. And then he said that. I was like, "Wait, what? Your teeth falling out? Like, what's going on?" So you can hear the trash talking, with the NBA. So we're going to hear guys like Westbrook, talking. LeBron talks a lot, and that's going to be the interesting thing. Like, I think the trash talking and Jimmy Butler, he likes to trash talk a little bit. Joel Embiid, guys like that, you're going to hear them. And one sleeper team is Portland, like you said. You can never count out Dame, man. I mean, this guy, he puts teams out of the playoffs like he did last year, waving bye to Paul George and Westbrook. So, but Portland's a team that's going to be dangerous. There's a lot of teams that I think could be dangerous, but I did read some news that Demarcus Aldridge is not playing for the Spurs. I did hear that. It was some breaking news that he's going to sit out the rest of the regular season in the playoffs. Yeah. So that hurts San Antonio. I just don't think they have the magic anymore. Pop is still one of the greatest coaches ever, but I don't think they have enough. So, but other than that, it's good to see the NBA back. It's good to see the big names. Zion gets a chance to make the playoffs. I know that was a big thing. These big names, see what the Clippers can do, the Lakers, Milwaukee, Boston. I mean, there's so many different angles. I know we're going to talk about a lot of the teams. So, but yeah, I'm excited for this format. Like I said, it's like summer league in a way, and it's good to say it's in Orlando too.
Yeah, and I think kind of what you were talking about as far as Dame, you can't count him out. I mean, the guy puts teams on his back, and he's got McCollum, there as well. Mm-hmm. But the NBA is returning. That's what we're excited about. And a couple of other things is there will be 4 hours between games on each individual court, accommodated with overtimes, cleaning, and warm-ups. So it's going to kind of be like an ACC tournament. You have the players coming through the tunnel and they're like sitting in the stands or whatever, how they're going to do it. It's going to be like a college feel to it. We didn't get the NCAA tournament. So we're getting basically the NBA tournament, if you will. So it's going to be crazy. And the one person I'm a little upset that we're not going to see is Draymond Green, because you know how he talks trash. We're not going to be able to see him on the court this year. But Patrick Beverly I can't wait to see what the pest of Patrick Beverly and the much trash as he talks. He's going to be in everybody's grill. So we might as well just mic up everybody, and you need to hire one person for each team to hit the mute button, because all types of words. Or we just gonna have to call it NBA Uncut. Just go ahead and do that. Just say parental advisory.
Uncut.
If you're not over 18, you can't watch. But Ty, talk about kind of the format. Is there anything that we missed that you wanted to add on to that?
No, I mean, I definitely agree with the format. That possible single double elimination at the 8 seed, if certain conditions are met, I think that's pretty fair for the most part. Because I think those teams that are like on the outside looking in right now, there are a few teams that just got healthy. And, I mean, everybody mentioned Dame. Portland is my sleeper team, first off. And everybody mentioned Dame, but I was thinking about Zach Collins and Nurkic, who's finally going to be back. They've been out all season, and Portland's been playing all season without bigs. So, they're finally getting some bigs back. They are going to probably do some damage this season. I think that those 8 games allows them to gel together. And I mean, like I said, you got Dame to put the dagger in. So, I'm looking forward to them. I'm looking forward to kind of seeing how New Orleans continues to get better. I have them as a really good team too. And I think we mentioned that they're youth, them being young, but I think that's an advantage. I mean, because you have nothing to play for, really. And and so as being a young team, stop. So being a young team, they're going to play a little more free, I think, and I think they can, they have a lot of talent there. They can end up being a team who can slip in there. So I'm excited to kind of see like how that's going to unfold. And, initially that 1/8 seed, I think that 1/8 seed is going to be a dogfight this year. I truly do. A lot of times that 1/8 seed ain't really, you're just like, yeah, number 1 seed is going to kind of smash whoever it is. But that 1/8 seed, I mean, you might mess around and play Utah in the first round. The Lakers might get Utah, or, the Lakers and Clippers still have time to flip-flop that 1 and 2 seed. So, whoever that number 1 seed is, you're going to have a hard out that first round, whether it's, a team like, the Utah Jazz or even Memphis. Memphis was really, was playing really well. And like I said, Portland. I think Portland could mess around and get the 8th seed and get back to the final and get to the Western Conference Finals again.
Yeah, you're right. You're right, Ty, because let me just give you this input right quick. Because basically look at 4, 5, 6, and 7, they're all 40-win teams. Mm-hmm. Utah is 41. And everybody else all the way down to 7th is 40. Now, the percentage is going to be a little hard for your Mavericks trade because they play more games. So that means their winning percentage is lower. Their winning percentage is 0.597, whereas everybody else is 625, 0.625, 0.641 up to Utah. So they're going to really have to win some games, those 2 games to get in. But like Tyon said, it's going to be a dogfight, and that's the interesting part of it. You from 4 all the way down to 7. There's only 1 game that separate them.
Yeah.
And just to add to that real quick, Portland, don't forget, they still got Hassan Whiteside and Carmelo Anthony, too. I mean, Melo is this guy, we talked about how good of offensive player he always been. If Melo can heat up, too, with Dame, oh, my goodness. I mean, Melo still got some game, man. I think he got something to prove. So he can still – they need buckets. Melo can give you buckets still.
Yeah. Now, the most interesting X factor about this whole thing is the coronavirus. That's obviously the reason why this got pushed back. So They're going to be doing daily tests. But my question is, if you come in the building and say you test LeBron, and LeBron has COVID-19, you put him in quarantine, but say LeBron's been around the team the whole night. I mean, that's the part that to me is most intriguing, because it could possibly be a non-injury that'll keep a player from playing. Now, I know they're going to do the test. I know they're probably going to put that one person in the quarantine, but how do you handle it when there's potentially multiple players? How do you handle it when a family member has it? Like, I know they got to be talking about these types of things, but this is honestly the X factor. The X factor is, what if somebody gets coronavirus? So anybody that wants to touch on that, like, how do you think the NBA? But the NBA is smart. These are millionaires, billionaires that we're talking about. So and they have the resources and all of that. That won't be the question. But how do you handle it when that situation happens?
Well, I think from the offset, it's going to be handled in a way that's going to make that very difficult. That scenario to be very difficult. They already said all the All-Stars, LeBron, Kawhi, they're all going to be in a bubble. And because of that, so once they get tested, they test negative, then they in a bubble. You can't go outside. Then your family has to get tested as well, and then the family will be in the bubble. So I think the scenario is, nothing is foolproof, so it can happen. But I think the way they're going to approach it is they're going to already be in quarantine. They're going to have some leeway, but I think in order to make it safe, once you're tested negative, then you have to be in a location with negative people as well, like your family, and you have to stay in that bubble.
Yeah.
And as you stated, as you stated, they're going to initially test everybody, I'm assuming, before they get there, and and so there's going to be some quarantine in place already. But if they're already saying, like, hey, if one person is up testing positive, like, we're not shutting this down. Yeah. I don't see how you cannot shut it down, though. You know what I'm saying? Because let's say if it is LeBron James, and they are playing the Dallas Mavericks in a exhibition game, right? It takes, they're still saying it takes approximately 2 weeks to actually say, like, whether you have it or not. So you look at, they played multiple teams. You've already went through the entire league in 2 weeks, possibly, right? The whole league is infected now. It's possible that the whole league could be infected in 2 weeks, right? Everybody at at Orlando, Florida, right? Everybody at Disney World could possibly be affected. How do you continue to play? I don't know, right? And that's probably going to be the biggest question that that the league is going to have to answer if it happens. Hopefully, it doesn't happen, because I want to see the rest of this. I want to see basketball. So I'm hoping and praying that nobody tests positive or nobody comes in there with 101 temp, because it's over. I just think it's all over at that point.
Unless if they do it like they used to do in the NFL, you got a concussion, hey, just shake it off. They just slide that coronavirus test under the desk. Like, no, we didn't see that. We finishing this out. I don't care if all y'all die. I don't care if all y'all go down. We finish Adam Silver like, look, this is do or die right now. I'm not going to be out there. This is do or die for y'all.
We're all infected. We got to just keep playing, right?
Play with a mask on. That's the other question.
With a mask. Yeah.
Will a player come out there with a Bane mask on? Somebody will possibly do it. I don't know who, but I wouldn't be surprised if somebody came out there with a Bane mask on.
Kyrie probably do it again, right? He's playing.
Yeah. So let's get into the teams. Let's start. Let's try to keep the comment on each team as short as possible, because we got a lot. We could talk about the 8 in the. We'll talk about the 8 in the East and in the West. The Bucks again are in a prime position to try to come out of the East. I was picking them last year. Giannis wins the MVP. It's a highlight year for you. The only problem is they don't have Malcolm Brogdon, and you can't depend on the other Lopez brother. I think it's Robin Lopez. You can't depend on Robin Lopez to be hitting threes from the corner or hitting threes. So it's there has to be some maturity, I think, with this Milwaukee team. Do I see them coming out of the East? I don't know. To me, the East is so up and down, which we'll talk about at the end who's coming out of the East or the West. But I'll go to you, Dad. Talk about Milwaukee quick.
Well, like you say, Giannis, he'll probably be back-to-back MVP because that's simply the way the NBA does it. They get a player and they latch on him for a couple of years. But,
that's true.
But so I look at, to me, my sleeper is Eric Bledsoe. Now, he has to play because he's so sporadic. I mean, his game is so up and down. If his game is together and he can basically hold down that point guard slot, and then you have, you got some shooting guards. You remember you got George Hill,
right? True.
If he can light it up, Corvette, he's been off for a while. He can hit those threes. So you got some, point guards, you got some shooting guards that can hold it down. Now, you got Wesley Matthews, who's a tough defensive player. And then you got Middleton, who's an all-star. So I feel if they can be consistent, Middleton's going to be consistent. Matthews is going to be a good defensive player. But if Corver can come in, hit some threes, if George Hill can be consistent in the point guard and then with Bledsoe, then if they can secure that backcourt, then I think they're going to have a chance, to actually win a championship. I don't see any way that they're not going to be able to come out of the East. Toronto, their record's a lot better, so I'm picking them to come out of the East.
Okay. Let's go to the Raptors. We'll go by each team as we go through kind of round robin here. Tyon, talk about the Raptors. They don't have Kawhi, obviously. I mean, that's the biggest missing gaping hole. But you got to give props to Nick Nurse. I mean, he's been doing a good job coaching his team. Siakam doing his thing like he does. Kyle Lowry, we got to say it like that. Kyle Lowry doing his thing like he does. But Ty, talk about the Raptors.
The Raptors are a really good team. Probably underrated. I think Milwaukee has got a lot of that attention, and rightfully so. You got the MVP there. But Toronto, without Kawhi Leonard, has actually had just as good or better record this year than they did last year.
Yeah.
One of those things you already mentioned, Siakam. Siakam took that next step. I mean, literally. I mean, we saw him in the playoffs, just evolve in the playoffs, right? But this year, I mean, and let me pull up his numbers for you real quick. 23, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal, 1 block. Pretty efficient on the floor, 45% on the floor. He's actually shooting the 3 really well at 36% right now for him, which is a pretty good number for a forward. He's been balling. And, this team, he's been able to kind of pick up that scoring load where it dropped off from Kawhi Leonard. Defensively, he's a really, really good defender. He gives forwards problems. So he's definitely a guy who can step on the outside and defend as well as protect the rim and paint. Of course, you got Kyle Lowry, Mr. Lowry, you know what I'm saying? Mr. Raptor himself, you know what I'm saying? I mean, he's averaging 20 and 7 there. Really, really good defensive team, good defensive player, and this team is a good defensive team. I think, the X factors on the team, Van Fleet, man. Yeah. I think Van Fleet might be that X factor for the team. He's came into his role. He's a third leading scorer on that team. He gives them that quickness, that ability to shoot the ball. Because Lowry isn't really quick. He's a physical guard. He gives you that different look. Van Fleet gives you that different look. And again, this is a team that, they made it to the finals last year. I feel like they got better. I feel like they got better without Kawhi.
Yeah. And that's crazy. That's crazy to even say that, but you're right though.
We look at the playoffs is all about matchups. It really depends on the matchup that they get throughout the playoffs. But I can definitely see this team getting to the finals with the right matchups, with the right seeding. They definitely have, defensively, they're one of the best defensive teams in the league. And as we always say, the defense wins championships. As long as they're playing good defensively, they have enough offense to get to the finals.
Yeah. All right, so let's go to the Celtics. We already know Kemba, Jason Tatum, which I think is a young baller, Jaylen Brown. But Courtney, talk about the Celtics, being in that third spot.
This is another team that's dangerous, just like Toronto, just like the Sixers and stuff if they're healthy. But Boston, this is my sleeper team. I don't got them going to the finals, but they're gonna be tough because of, you said, Tatum and Jaylen Brown has made that huge step to, Jason Tatum before this, before the shutdown was balling right now. I mean, this guy was really balling like it was crazy. He was like becoming that all-star caliber player that I think that we saw flashes of it 2 years ago. He kind of fell a little bit last year, I think, trying to play with Kyrie. So now with Kyrie gone, he stepped up into that leadership role. Jaylen Brown, another one. The guy's averaging over 20 points a game, so he stepped up. They did lose Al Horford. I think that hurts them. But if Kemba Walker is healthy, motivated, and ready to go, he's that leader, that point guard, that dog as we talk about. We talk about Kyle Lowry as that dog. Kemba's the same type of guy. I mean, this guy, he can hit buckets. I mean, he shoot from the three, can take it to the hole. He's tough. He's gritty. So I really like Boston. Then they got a great coach. I think they have all the elements to make a huge run. Depending on the matchup, they're going to be a matchup nightmare. They play defense and they can score. So I like I said, I like Boston as a very good sleeper pick.
Yeah, and when you look at the Celtics, they are a well-built team. They have the pieces, but again, it's year after year. Do they want it enough? And that's what these playoffs are going to come to. Do they want it enough? Who's been in shape? Who hasn't been eating chicken and waffles throughout this time? Who's been working out? Who's been taking care of their bodies? Like we're going to see all of that because injuries will have a say-so on how far these teams go. So that's another interesting point. So let's go to Miami. Miami 41-24, and kind of a breaking news story. Miami Heat could potentially acquire Demarcus Cousins for this playoff run. Here we go again. Boogie. Can Boogie actually boogie in this in these playoffs this year?
No.
Oh, no.
No.
Can we see it happen? Which, hey, look, I don't know. It could happen. People I still want to see Boogie have some type of success, just like Isaiah Thomas. Isaiah Thomas, just how he got, that's a whole nother story. But Isaiah Thomas, could have gotten that opportunity. He didn't. But anyway, going back to Miami, I think Miami is a team that can make a little bit of noise. Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, having a really good season. Dragic, Derrick Jones, who won the did he win the dunk contest? I think he won the dunk contest. And Jay Crowder coming off the bench. I mean, they have pieces, but to be honest, I don't see Miami coming out of the East. I'm not even gonna call them a sleeper team because I don't think they have enough to get them there. And you got to have enough because this playoffs may be kind of top heavy, and then we'll see who gets Philly because we definitely gonna talk about Philly. But go ahead, Ty.
I'm about to say you don't feel like the addition of Andre Iguodala is gonna help them?
Mm-hmm.
Finals MVP.
I think it's gonna help them. But come on, man, Iggy's getting up there, man. He can be a bench coach and helps some of these Kenneth Nunn and all them guys. But I just don't think that's gonna take him to that next level to have them actually win and come out of the East. They
got some balance though. They got some balance, like you said, with Iggy and Jimmy Butler and then the youth with Hero and Kendrick Nunn and Duncan Robinson, Derrick Jones. I don't know, man.
I mean, is that enough? Is that enough though? Is that enough?
I like the Miami team because you point out balance, but I feel like they can play multiple styles of basketball. You know what I'm saying? They create a good matchup for any team that they play because, you know, you do have, you know, Iggy and Butler and you got Jay Crowder who can literally guard all three,
anybody.
you know, on anybody.
Right.
You know, them three can guard anybody. You know what I'm saying? And then you look at, you know, Kendrick Nunn and Goran Dragic, who are both really good point guards who can play off the ball and on the ball. You got Bam, who's, you know, playing around the paint, you know, that lob guy, things like that. You got Deion Waiters, who's still there. He's instant offense off the bench at times. Like, I mean, you got some – you got something there. You got something. You got Kelly Olynyk there that can shoot the three. I mean, they can mix it up. I'm not saying that they're gonna win, but I think they're an interesting team.
They can make some noise.
They can make some noise. They can play some different styles, and like I said, with everybody just having to restart, though, these are the type of teams that I feel like could catch somebody off guard. Because they can switch it up on you.
Yeah, right. Well, I think they'll win a series, and I mean they're going to be a tough out. I agree. But the only thing that you have to consider with Miami, they got a bunch of stars, but no superstar. And this is a superstar league.
Jimmy's not a superstar?
No, Jimmy's not a superstar. No.
Only a bunch of stars can get you so far. You got to have a superstar to get you over the top.
Jimmy's a really tough player.
They're going to play hard. They're going to be a tough out because, you know, the coach is going to have them playing hard. But, you know, without a superstar, I don't think you can go over more than 2 rounds.
Jimmy can put him on his back. I mean, think of it. When he was on Philly, I mean, it took that miracle shot from Kawhi Leonard for Philly to be in that, you know, that final Jimmy ball. So I was a superstar. He's underneath it, but you know.
He's a little bit underneath.
What type of mindset? What type of mindset is Jimmy in? I think that's a huge part of that. We everywhere he's been, he's balled. That's not the question. The question has always been, is the team able to gel around him, and is he able to elevate the team? Which, I mean, he's been doing it this year. So, I mean, maybe it's not a question. Maybe it is. I don't know. There's been so much time off. Like, it's going to be interesting to see what all these guys, you know, look like. But let's go to the Pacers. Dad, I think you're up. Let's go to the Pacers. Brogdon ends up going to the Pacers. Oladipo, they got a healthy squad. They got 2 Holiday brothers. I mean, shout out to the Holiday brothers, man. We need to somehow get them all on one team just so we can see that happen one time. But talk about the Pacers.
Yeah, they're gonna be a tough. They're gonna be a tough out. But you know, just like you said, I mean, they got some tough players. You know, Sabonis. You know, he's coming along in the paint, and he can definitely handle his own. The Holiday brothers. You know we got. A little favoritism towards them because of their connection, to the Bay Area. Brogdon, strong point guard, plays good defense, consistent. And they got Oladipo back. I mean, depending on how much in shape he is and how much it's going to take him to get back in that form because he's been out a while. So I see him, being a tough out, but they're actually, playing against Miami, I think. So,
right.
Yeah. So I don't think they're going to be able to come out of that first round going up against Miami. But if Oladipo, if he's in good playing shape, he can make some noise because he definitely was on the cup of being a superstar, and he can definitely ball. I mean, you look at what they did to Cleveland a couple years ago. They gave Cleveland a go for their money. So I got to definitely let. He's only 28, so he's still young enough to recover. But once you go past him and, the Holiday brothers and Sabonis and, Brogdon, Jeremy Lamb, he can come through give you a couple good games here and there, but he's not really consistent. So the roster, I mean, far as depth, when it comes to star players, it's just not enough there, so – I can't really see him come out of the first round this year.
Yeah.
But y'all got
TJ Warren, Miles Turner.
I was just about to say, man, y'all gotta give T.J. Warren some love, man.
Miles Turner,
stepped up.
You know, which color went down? Oladipo went down, and T.J. Warren kind of he took off a little bit. So you know,
the East is a flip, man. It just depends on who comes out hungry enough, who's been preparing during this time, and who has the best coach to do the matchups. Because like you said, Ty, this is going to be a true playoffs of matchups because it's such an even playing field. Now let's bring it to the most confusing team out of the entire NBA, the Philadelphia 76ers. Ty, it's on you. Ben Simmons, Embiid. Hopefully you've been working on his jumper, but I don't know. Go ahead, Ty.
Man, you know, as you just stated, they are the most confusing team in the East, probably in the NBA, because they are loaded with talent. They just don't gel. They don't gel, man. You know, you look at Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid, who are all-stars, all NBA type players. And I mean, they're in the 6th seed right now. That says a lot.
True.
You know, their biggest problem to me is really figuring out exactly what type of basketball they want to play. You know, you have the situation where you have Joel Embiid, who's a dominant force in the paint, shooting threes majority of the time and playing on the outside. You have Ben Simmons, who's pretty much a point forward, and most of his points are in the paint. He's playing on the outside all the time, right? Like there is some coaching issues here, right?
Oh, yeah.
There's some coaching issues here. You know what I'm saying? But when you look at this roster, you know, you have Tobias Harris, who's a really, really good player. You have Mike Scott, who's solid. You have, of course, you have Ben Simmons. You have Josh Richardson. You got Shake Milton, who set the consecutive three-point record in the game, just came out of nowhere, just splashing everywhere. They added Glenn Robinson and Alec Burks, right? Alec Burks being a 15-point per game type guy. Glenn Robinson showing that he's a really, really good defender and a spot-up three-point shooter. They have the talent. They definitely have the talent. The problem is are they going to learn how to play together? Yeah. And with all the time off, they're probably a first round out, man. I'm sorry to say, they might be a first round out.
I hate to say it. They're going to be playing.
Right now, they would be playing Boston. Right? Who's the 3 seed?
Yeah.
And but the crazy part is like when you look at this team, I mean, Ben Simmons without a jumper gives you so many matchup problems. Right? He gives you so many matchup problems because he can, anything within like 15 feet, he's going to make. He makes that, you know what I'm saying? And, his ability to see the floor, his ability to pass, and defensively, he gives you so much on the defensive end. He doesn't get the praise that he should get, but, Ben Simmons is probably a top 10 defender in the league. Like, this dude can play defense, whether it's blocking shots, whether it's denying, a player the ball, man-to-man defense. This dude can play defense. And then, again, Joel Embiid, same thing, where he gives you so many matchup problems. Being able to be in the paint, being able to shoot the three, being able to put the ball on the floor, drive to the rim at 7 feet, they both give you matchup problems, but the team just doesn't gel together. They play better when one is off the floor, which is crazy. So it'll be interesting to see how Brett Brown does this. I think this is Brett Brown's last season in Philadelphia too, because you definitely got to get somebody who can make this work, or you have to get rid of one of the players. But I think they're a first-round exit.
And that's probably they got a lot of problems, but Brett Brown is probably the number one problem. It is your job to help that team play well together. It's your job to get in Embiid's face. It was your job like 4 years ago to get in Ben Simmons' face, put the dude in the gym, give him just dime him up some passes so he can shoot. I mean, so I never really trusted Brett Brown, especially the way that whole organization handled Markelle Fultz, which that's a whole nother story too. I don't see them getting out of that first round either. Let
me say this right quick before you go on.
Yeah.
Well, you know that Indiana and Philadelphia has identical records. Yeah. Identical. 39-26 and winning percentage is .60. So to me, a better matchup for Philly would be Miami. Not only do they have motivation because Jimmy Butler's there, but also Dragic cannot handle Ben Simmons.
At all.
I don't think they have a guard that can handle Ben Simmons. Yeah, so to me, that would be a real good matchup, especially when you look at Tyon just mentioned his name, the Adebayo. Adebayo is really gelling at Miami, and I think that'll be a good matchup as well for Philly when it comes to what's his name? Embiid. Yeah. So when you look at that matchup between Embiid and Bayo, and then I don't think anybody, as far as their guards, can stop Simmons, and plus Jimmy Butler had just went there from them, and then Al Horford's going to be a problem, for Miami, and so I'm really thinking it really depends on who ends up being the 4th seed. But if they end up being, if they jump over Indiana and end up being the 5th seed and play Miami in the first round, that'll be an interesting first round.
Yeah, good point. Good analysis right there. Let's bring it to Courtney for the Brooklyn Nets. Brooklyn. Where Brooklyn at? They could be going home. That's where they could be at. No Kyrie. Obviously, we know that. Kyrie with his how do you say, yearly knee injury that normally causes them to be out.
The shoulder this time. Shoulder this time.
Head, shoulder, knees, and toes. No Kyrie, no KD. But talk about Brooklyn real quick. Do they have any potential chance to make any noise, Courtney?
I'm gonna keep this short. No. Without Kyrie, without KD, if they had both of those guys healthy, then they would make a lot of noise. But they fired their coach, and then are they gonna rally around Jacques Vaughn? I don't know. And Kenny Atkinson was a decent coach. I mean, he was what he was dealt with. He had all these injuries, so his top players, he could only do so much. So the players kind of just turned on him. So I don't know if this time off helps Brooklyn or not. Maybe it helps them gel, but Spencer Dinwiddie's just not enough. It's not enough. DeAndre Jordan is not. It's not enough for Brooklyn to get further than they'll be put out of the first round if they even make it. I know they're 7th now, I believe. So they'll probably get bounced out. Whoever they play, Toronto, Milwaukee, whoever, Boston. If they get any of those guys in the top 3, they'll get put out pretty quickly.
Yeah. I agree with you right there. So we got Orlando at 8, the Wizards at 9. Orlando, I don't hate Orlando. I mean, Markelle Fultz, you just mentioned his name. You got DJ Augustine as a backup point guard. Aaron Gordon. I mean, he's becoming a well-rounded player. He is not just a dunker anymore. And then Nikola Vucevic. So, I mean, will they actually do something? The answer is no. But I do like that team in the way that it's put together. And then you look at the Wizards, which there's a lot of stuff swirling around about Bradley Beal being in some type of package, going somewhere. Obviously that's going to be at the end of this year or next year. But Bradley Beal, Napier, Hachimura from Gonzaga. I mean, I think they got something young there, and I think they're really going to be looking to rebuild. So we could possibly see, on a side note, we could see Bradley Beal going somewhere to another team. But that 8th and 9th, I don't really think they're gonna matter as much. I want to see Orlando though, see what they bring, what they put on the floor. Now,
I like to see Bradley Beal in the playoffs. This guy can get hot. Like I said, they don't have enough around him right now, especially without John Wall. But Bradley Beal in the playoffs can get hot real quick. I mean, he can be dangerous. Maybe average about 30 points, 40 points, but it wouldn't be enough.
Yeah. This John Wall injury could be a 30 for 30 all by itself. Man, this dude hadn't been on the floor in a year and a half, or 2 years?
Almost 2 years, yeah.
Crazy.
Wow. That's crazy.
let's get to the Western Conference where the meat is of this whole entire comeback. We can start with the Lakers, man. I'm throwing you a softball right now, Pops. I'm throwing you a softball with the Lakers, but give me your breakdown. 49-14. Is that the best? No, not the best record. Milwaukee's got the best record, but LeBron. Yeah, LeBron, AD. But go ahead.
Well, that's the whole thing. You got LeBron who's gotten his rest, but he's still gonna keep his body in good shape. And being a leader, I think he's motivating, the other players to be in good shape as well. So now you're gonna really see how LeBron leadership skills really takes forth and goes forth in the motivating these guys after that layoff. But you're right. I mean, the record, the roster, they're just loaded. And the thing about it is, when you look at how we trained and groomed Quinn Cook and also JaVale McGee. And now JaVale McGee goes down to L.A. and he's a star, man. He's a superstar, So, it's kind of interesting how we groomed them and got them prepared, to go down and take it. But, you got Rondo who's gonna do his thing, and I think he's motivated now. Rondo is similar to Jimmy Butler when it comes to his attitude and his personality. If he doesn't gel and fit with the other players, he can cause a problem like he did. I think he was in Dallas, wasn't he? Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
He was in Dallas for a little while. Yeah, him and Carlisle looked at each other like, yeah, this ain't going to work.
As long as he's happy and satisfied, and I think, being in L.A., you kind of can't help but be happy and satisfied. So, and like I said, with Kuzma, Dwight Howard, these guys are just motivated. Something about playing with LeBron brings the best out of you. And they got the shooters, Danny Green and AD, he's gonna do his thing, So, like you said, that was a slow ball, softball pitch to me. I just can't wait, man, to that conference final matchup, them and the Clippers. That's what it's gonna look like. What it's going to be. I can't wait for it.
The NBA is going to manufacture that to happen. Like, there's no way that they're going to allow them to not be playing in the Western Conference Finals. But their starters and their bench. This roster is what the doctor ordered for LeBron, because LeBron is a GM, player, coach. He's all of that. And people,
man.
Exactly. People are like, yeah, why are you putting all that pressure on him? He earned that. He earned that right to be able to do all those things. The guy's been in the league for the amount of years that he's been in the league. So Ty, bringing it to you with the Clippers, 44-20. Doc Rivers, orchestrating all that stuff in the background. They get Kawhi, they get PG. They got the pest and Patrick Beverly. Let's talk about it.
Man. So, the Clippers was my pick at the beginning of the year. I don't necessarily want to go away from that pick because I think they have more than enough talent and they have the coaching. I think that's a huge part. I like Doc Rivers and his style of coaching. He's able to get the most out of the role players. I think that's important. He's able to get the most out of role players. But when you look at this roster, the thing that stands out to me is the defense, right? And, like I said, defense wins championships. You have Paul George and you have Kawhi Leonard, who are two of the best defenders in the league. You couple that with Patrick Beverly, who's a pest at the guard position, and you have three players who can lock down the perimeter. Really make it hard for you to score. So you look at that. You look at their interior defense with Montrezl Harrell, who's a really, really good forward who can play inside, outside defense, block shots, steal balls, deny the ball. You have Zubac, Zubac has actually been really good for them. Zubac being a big in the paint. You also have the addition of Marcus Morris, who's a really good defender as well. So this team is loaded with defensive talent. And then, of course, you have the superstar ability of Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. Paul George being, a top 5 in the MVP race last year. Top 5 in the MVP race last year. You have, of course, Kawhi Leonard, who the Finals MVP, and probably, typically in the race for the MVP every season too. They can shoot the ball from the inside. I mean, they can score on the inside. They can shoot the ball from the outside. This team is loaded. And I think that in the Western Conference, outside of them, I think, maybe Portland's the only other team that could really give the Lakers a run for their money. So.
Yeah. And we've been looking forward to this LA matchup pretty much all year long, and I think we're definitely going to see it. Lou Will, man, probably
don't forget Lou Will, 6th man of the year.
The best 6th man, arguably, you can say ever. When this dude gets in the game, I don't know what, you got to be a different type of player to just come off the bench and just drop 20 like you've been playing all night. Like, I don't know what he's just one of those 6-man players that's able to do that. So that's a massive success that he's had coming off the bench. Let's go to you, Courtney, with the Denver Nuggets. This is a team in the 3rd seed. I mean, this is a team too that made some noise last year. A lot of people were really highly touting them, talking about them. And Jamal Murray, obviously Jokic, Joker, Paul Millsap, man, still playing, still putting in those minutes. And Will Barton. But go ahead, Courtney, talk about the Nuggets.
I was very high on Denver going into this season, just because of their playoff run last year, and Jokic was playing like MVP, and then he played well so far this year too. I don't know. There's something missing with Denver. I don't know what it is. Maybe they're a piece away for maybe that 3rd and 4th consistent scoring that they need. They got Murray, they got Jokic. They're good defensively. Jokic is a problem though. He's gonna be a problem for a lot of big men in the playoffs because he can score from the outside, and he's a big in the inside. He plays big like a big man should. And he can pass from that top of the key. So he's real great player. And him and Murray, they got that connection. They run that pick and roll. Some of the best pick and roll that we've seen in a long time. But I don't know. I don't know if they're missing something. I don't know if it's the coaching.
It's that go-to guy. It's the go-to guy. Right. They don't have that go-to guy yet.
They don't. Yeah. You're right. And Murray, he looks the part and he plays it, but he's so inconsistent. You know what I mean? Like, this guy he can score 30, he can get 25, 30, but then you'll have games where he's 2 for 16 or 3 for 15 or whatever. Jokic, he sometimes plays passive, so he's not that go-to guy all the time. You would think, you're like, okay, I can just go to big and just let him score, but they're missing something, like you said. I think they're missing that go-to score, but they'll make noise. I think they'll get to the 2nd round, but I just don't think they have enough to get past the 2nd round of this year's playoffs.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you got a really good point there. Go ahead, Ty.
I was about to say, my question is, do they finally release Michael Porter Jr.? Do they let him go? Do they let him go finally?
Yes. They had the guy on the roster. They have probably the guy on the roster. They have him on the roster, so they don't need to go out and get – I know Bradley Beal would help. Bradley Beal, yes. You get Bradley Beal there. That makes them upper echelon. But they got their guy on the roster, but this time off could help them. So maybe, I don't know. We'll see. But they're a problem, but I just don't see them get past 2nd round.
Yeah. So now let's bring it to the team where coronavirus all started.
Oh, no.
Let's bring it to the Utah Jazz, 41-23. Rudy is where it all started. I don't want to point the finger, but Rudy was the first one that had it, and he wasn't taking it that serious. Mike Conley, Donovan Mitchell, the Spider. I mean, I think they have a good team. They added Clarkson coming off the bench. Shout out to Tony Bradley. Anybody that's a Tar Heels fan, you remember Tony Bradley from the Tar Heel days. He's there on the squad. Do they have enough though? I would probably say no, but I do think they're going to make some noise. I do think it's going to be an exciting series. Based on where they are right now, they will be playing Houston, which they've got history. You know, them two playing together, got history during the past couple playoff, playoff series. So that could be something we could definitely be looking at here. But Donovan Mitchell is an exciting player to watch regardless. So I'm going to love watching him play. I want to see how him and Rudy, how they gel. Do they still have that son-old relationship that they had, or is it a little rocky? So that's going to be an interesting aspect to that team. But I don't necessarily see them coming out of the West. To me, that's a two-team race. Everybody else is background singers and extras in the movie, basically. So that's my stance with Utah. Let's bring it to OKC. With CP3, man. CP3 took on the challenge. But Dad, I'll let you go ahead and talk about OKC.
Now this is where it gets interesting right here. Because you only got one game that separates Utah and then OKC, Houston, and Dallas all have the same wins, even though, like I said, Dallas percentage record is 59 compared to 62 with the other two. So what I would love to see, this is what I would love to see. I would love to see OKC and Houston move up the 4th and 5th to go at each other. Now, that would be a series for the ages. I'm talking about a battle all the way down to Game 7. And like you say, CP3, he's been balling. He's been rejuvenated. He was disrespected. And that pissed that little young brother off. He's not young anymore. He's 35. But anyway, he said, well, you're gonna discredit me and talk about me in your interviews and talk about, we know what we need to get rid of and what we need to ship out. So he went on this new diet. Got him a new trainer.
Vegan. Yeah.
He's been vegan. And he playing like a 30-year-old. So I really like them. And Adam's always tough, in the paint. He's going to do his thing. I like they got Gallinari. He gets hot. He can hit from the 3 and he can drive. So he's a good, player when it comes to offense. Little question on the defense. And that's where they probably going to, need Nader as far as the defensive side of it. They got Noel. That's a young guy that's been balling. He's been playing real well. And, is Robertson, if he's healthy, he can give up some good defense. And then you got Schroeder. I mean, Schroeder, he's really grooming, man. He's really getting himself together. He's playing heavy. He's playing hard, and, coming from Atlanta, he really wanted to show that he's a player that he was before. So they got a real good roster, and Alexander, young guy that's coming up, he's 21, he's balling, so it depends on the matchup. That's why I hope they both move up and end up playing Houston, because that will be a battle, and they need to be motivated. That's the thing about it. Chris Paul needs to be motivated. You can get him motivated and have a good matchup, and I think that will be a good one. Now, if they match up against Utah, that'll be a good matchup as well. And I think, when you look at Utah compared to their roster, I think they're a little bit deeper than OKC. But, I like OKC. I always had some questions about Billy Donovan, coming out of Florida. And I figured, well, he had the superstars and he couldn't get it done. But to keep this roster together, and keep Chris Paul motivated, I mean, I gotta give him his props. I mean, he's really proven himself that he can coach in the NBA, and he's impressed me this year what he's done. Keeping these young guys together. Plus you got the veteran with Chris Paul. So OKC, I can see them make some noise. Depends on who they match up with in the first round.
Yeah, and Chris Paul being the true professional, going to a team that he did not want to go to. He was comfortable in Houston. He got traded basically behind his back, but he's come in and really did something with this team. And Billy Donovan, like you said, I think was able to definitely lean on Chris Paul, which I think has been major. So I got the utmost respect for CP3. And plus, man, State Farm is paying this dude probably just as much of the salary what he's making with OKC, because he got commercials every single night, every single channel you got him on. Todd, let me bring this to you. The Houston Rockets, right there, number 6. Man, this is probably another one of those interesting teams right behind Philly, just with everything that they have on the roster. But go ahead.
Yes, I think they are a very interesting team. Their coach has decided to no longer employ a big man. and
anybody who's 6'8", can play.
Yeah. You 6'8" and below, you can play for him. 6'8" and above, you can't play for him. So, he is taking the small ball formula to a whole nother level.
Yeah.
And trying to test the depths of this idea of playing small ball. And so you have, Westbrook and Harden, 2 of the best guards in the league, running the show, kind of taking turns, destroying defenses and things like that. And don't get me wrong, these 2 are really 2 good players. You add Eric Gordon in. Eric Gordon is a fire guard. He doesn't get the respect that he probably deserves. He was really good in New Orleans. He got traded. He was good in with the Clippers too when he was there. He's a really, really good guard coming off that bench. Sometimes they play him in the starting lineup as well, but typically they have him coming off as the firepower off the bench as well. You have Austin Rivers, who's turned himself into a really good NBA player. Again, role player coming off the bench, playing really good defense, a person who can handle the ball and score. And this team really goes as far as the guards take them. This is a guard-oriented team. They like to shoot the ball a lot. They shoot the 3 a lot. I personally don't see them getting out of the first round this year, just because I just think that unless they get a really good matchup, if they miss those first 3 teams, they have a chance. But I don't see them matching up with any of the top 3 seeded teams in the Western Conference at all. That small ball just doesn't work when you actually have bigs who can play in the paint and can punish you. And, the Lakers, the Clippers, and Denver all can punish you in the paint. And so, Houston, while they're supercharged, shooting 35, 43s a game, they're that type of team. I just don't think that style actually wins a series against a team who is really balanced.
Yeah, and honestly, at the end of the day, I've said this numerous times, D'Antoni Ball is not going to win a championship.
Get you so far.
It can only get you so far. You're right, Courtney. They've tried this in numerous areas. It hasn't worked. PJ Tucker is a good player, but PJ Tucker going up against Jokic, how's that plan going to work out? I don't know.
Jokic, Anthony Davis, JaVale McGee. He's going to get killed, man. He's going to kill.
Guys. He I think D'Antoni has just convinced himself, like, look, I'm going to run my plan. They haven't fired me yet, so I'm just going to keep running it until they kick me out the door. That's right. Been his MO, quite frankly.
My biggest thing with Houston is, and I said this earlier in the season, during the season, shooting 43s is acceptable, right? You can get away with up and down basketball all game. But when you get to the playoffs and teams actually sit down and game plan for you, right? Exactly. They decide what are we going to take away. Right. And I promise you, those corner threes will not be as frequent as they were in the regular season, right? Yep. Which is what they look for. They look for that corner 3. I will let Westbrook shoot the 3 all day. If I am a team, I am letting Westbrook shoot the 3 because Westbrook is the worst 3-point shooter on the team. He is the worst, right?
True.
So with that being said, as a coach, if I am coaching my team, I'm saying I'm going to make Houston live or die with Westbrook, not with Harden, right? Because I think Harden gives you Harden is a different problem, right? Harden can get hot. He can shoot the three. He can get to the rim. And he can get to the free throw line. But Westbrook, on the other hand, Westbrook's main game is really going to the rim and distributing. When you start making Westbrook shoot the ball, that's when the team has problems. And I am going to make Westbrook shoot the ball. He's going to be the guy taking 25 to 30 shots a game. And I will do everything I can to deny Harden the ball, and I will take away the corner three. And I think if you do that, this is a series that maybe they win one game, possibly two. I don't see this as a long series if they play any of the top three teams.
Yeah,
they can get swept too.
Yeah, they can get swept.
Easily.
Yeah, and then it comes down to the question again, which we talk about every single playoffs. Is Harden gonna be? I'm not gonna say is he gonna show up, but I'm gonna say is he going to play like he plays during the regular season, dropping 40 and pulling his team to win? And that's gonna be another question that we're gonna have. So as we go to Courtney, be gentle. You're about to talk about the Dallas Mavericks. 40 and 27.
Tear him up, Courtney. Tear him up.
40 and 27. Luka, Porzingis. They adding on some depth, but go ahead and talk about Dallas.
They're an interesting team. They are a very interesting team because they're young, and I think them making the playoffs will be an experience for them. They're going to be a team. They're going to be a problem in the next year or two. I think they're still a year or two away. Luka, this guy just a baller right now. For real, this guy he's all around. He can defend a little bit. He can score. He can pass. He can rebound. He's a nightmare, a nightmare matchup for a lot of players because he can do a little bit of everything. Porzingis is healthy now. This time off should definitely help him get back healthy. They got Seth Curry. They got Tim Hardaway Jr. Their roster is pretty good and balanced, but I just think they're just a little too young. Like I said, this will be a good playoff experience, and just they just add another piece or two, they'll be ready. I think within the next year or two, they'll be a problem. But right now, they're just a little too young to make any noise moving forward.
Yeah, I agree. It's early, and Jim Carrey. Carlisle.
Carlisle, yes.
Hey, look, everybody right now that's watching this video.
Yes, I think.
Yeah. Pull up a picture of Rick Carlisle and pull up a picture of Jim Carrey. You'd be very surprised at how much they look alike. The one person I like his name, but Tim Hardaway, boy, when this dude gets in the game, he just every single time he get the ball, I'm shooting it. I don't care who else is on the floor. I don't care. Carlisle's like, pass the ball. He's like, shoot. And
that's all he knows.
That's his MO. But I love having Seth on the team. Justin Jackson, a former Tar Heel, I'm gonna rep them. Willie Cauley-Stein, former Warrior.
That's a good pickup.
Dorian Finney-Smith and JJ Barea, who's 30. I think he's 35, 32 or 35. JJ is still one of those guys.
Still on the roster.
Yeah.
Still on the roster, man.
Still, man, coming off the bench, giving you those quality minutes. So I like what the Mavs have. I think they're even one player away, which I don't know. It may have to come through a draft. I don't know. It may not come through a trade because they spent a lot on Porzingis. So it may have to come through a draft pick. So we'll see what happens. But I'm excited about the Mavs going forward. So in that 8th spot is the Memphis Grizzlies, which I'm not very excited about Memphis. Jay Morant, who's a very, very talented young player, Dylan Brooks, Kyle Anderson, looking at the starting roster, Justice Winslow, and Valanciunas. But the team I really want to see in that 8th spot, which I think some of you guys may agree with me, is the Pelicans, man. The Pelicans, if they can get that 8th spot, the Lakers are still there at 1. That would be a good matchup. They're playing against former teammates. Who doesn't want to see Zion in a 7-game series? Who doesn't want to see Zion playing in an opening series against the top talent? Who doesn't want to see Zion guarding LeBron guarding Zion? I think that's something I would love to see. I don't know if it's going to happen, but that's who I want in that 8th spot. You got, like we've been talking about, you got so many teams, Portland, Sacramento, Spurs, and the Suns, anything could happen. But if I had to pick, I would say the Pelicans. So let's come to this point in the show where we say who's coming from the West, who's coming from the East. We got a lot of teams. I'll start it off. I'm gonna say the Lakers coming out of the West, and the East, man. The East is one of those. I think Milwaukee's gonna come out of the East. I think they're gonna get it together, and I think they have all the pieces. Now it's just like, let's take that next step, and let's really do what we got to do to get there. Dad, we'll go to you.
Well, I have to agree. I mean, we still have the unknown, the fact of the unknown. Instead of injuries right now is, COVID-19.
Right.
And when you look at Utah, I mean, you had those 2 players that had it tested positive, but everybody else tested negative.
Right. So
it can happen to where, you can have a player or 2 test positive and the rest of the team negative. And they're going to consider it, like any other injury, you're out as long as the rest of the team, doesn't test negative, and then the rest of the team will definitely be on quarantine at that point. But there's no way they'll be able to get it. So those are the unknown factors as far as with the format and with COVID-19 and what's going on in the world. So I'm still looking at those 2 to come out, Milwaukee and the Lakers. That's going to be, like I said, the Western Conference Final is basically going to be the finals. That's always the finals anyway, the Western Conference Finals. So that's going to be the finals. And whoever come out of the West, but I think it'd be the Lakers. And just on a short note before we go on, I know you at the end of the show, it'll be interesting to see who kneels. I mean, it's so close
to
what's going on.
Good point.
With this police brutality. And at the NFL came out and did their little program with Roger Goodell. So it'll be interesting to see if everybody kneels. This is going to be televised all over the world. And that would be another another little plot on the end. Yeah. And see if there's going to be any pressure, and if that pressure affects them emotionally, because it's such an emotional game. You don't have the fans that's rooting you on, things like that may affect you emotionally and kind of affect your play.
Yeah. And real quick before we go to Utah, what if the Minnesota Timberwolves were in the mix in this? Like, how crazy would that be? I mean, you would honestly have a whole nation around you.
Right.
Yeah. They were in the playoffs. That's another side note. They barely missed it. They were 14. Not barely. They were like 7 games behind. So the Suns, it wasn't that good either. So, but Milwaukee maybe next year. They'll have the city behind them next year. Go ahead, Ty.
My picks: Clippers out the West. Like I said, I'm sticking with my original pick, which is Clippers. And out of the East, man, that's I want to go Toronto, man. I really want to go Toronto.
Do it, man.
I think Toronto will go back to back, man. I think they could. You know what? I like Nick Nurse, man. He is a good coach, man.
Yes.
I mean, he's just out of the box with stuff. I mean, even when I think about looking at the finals last year, and him throwing the box in one, I was like, Jesus. I haven't seen a box in one since high school, man.
Right.
Yeah.
He's like, Curry ain't beating me, and I'm boxing one him.
Yeah. Like, I mean, and you really you don't see that type of stuff at the NBA level, right? The professional level, because typically all 5 players on the floor can essentially score. You respect all 5 players, but I mean, to throw the box in one and be like, you know what, we gonna make everybody else shoot the ball. Like, that was wild, man. That was wild. Yeah. And so just his innovative mindset, just, his ability to think out the box, I think that he could put a game plan together to stop Milwaukee if he has to, Yeah. For me, like I said, Milwaukee, I mean, I think Milwaukee has the numbers to be to come out the East, but as we stated earlier, Bledsoe is that big, like, what if, man, and you need that Bledsoe offensively to compete. Bledsoe defensively is a monster, but Bledsoe offensively, man, he shows up, sporadically. He's almost like Rondo per se. Rondo in Boston years and years ago, where it was like if Boston just had his offense, they would have probably win 3 rings, right? But just wasn't consistent enough for him, So that's my thing. I got to go with Toronto. I think Toronto, they're defending champs. They're defending champs too. You can't count out the champs either. So go with Toronto and the Clippers in the finals.
All right. Courtney, before I come to you, I just wanted to make a quick thing about Vince Carter, man. It's going to be a tragedy to not see Vince Carter in the playoffs. They better do a tribute, okay? I want to see a tribute at the beginning with Vince. I want to see a highlight reel. You need to bring him out there, give him something, man, because Vince, everything he's done for the game, 22 years, playing for a variety of teams. He didn't really get a farewell. He didn't really get anything. I mean, he talked about it, I think, after that game, it was over, but he didn't really get that. So, I talked about that earlier on my show earlier. But shout out to Vince Carter, everything he did for the game. Courtney, go ahead. Who you got coming out?
Man, this is tough. Let me go with the West first. I'm going with the Clippers in the West. I think with rested Kawhi and arrested Paul George and then Coach Doc Rivers, I think he's going to have these guys ready. I know a lot of people high on the Lakers, and Anthony Davis to me is the X factor on the Lakers. Like, there's no one that can stop that guy. I mean, no one. I mean, this guy can just put up buckets, score from the inside, score on the outside. He's the key factor against the Lakers and the Clippers. But I think Kawhi, the way he played last year in the playoffs, and now he's rested, so there's going to be no more load management. You've had enough load management now. So you need, you can score now. You can go ahead and do your thing and play 35, 40 minutes a game. So I think the Clippers, they just have all the pieces to make it to the finals. So I got them beating the Lakers in the Western Conference Finals. The East, much as I'm high on the Celtics, I'm like Tyon with the Raptors. I'm very high on the Celtics, but I think I'm going with the Bucks. I think the Bucks now they can figure it out. Like last year, they probably should have made the finals last year, but as you said, Nick Nurse, the good as coach as he is, he had the right formula to beat Milwaukee. You make Giannis, make Giannis shoot that jump shot. Like they packed the paint. And his shooters on the outside, he got really good shooters, but they weren't hitting their shots those last 4 games in that series. So I guess you could still have that similar type of strategy, but I really believe now Milwaukee will figure it out. I think Giannis will figure it out like, okay, I can't just keep driving to the hole each and every time because it works in the regular season, but in the playoffs, that court shrinks and they're going to try to pack that paint. But I think he'll figure it out. Bledsoe is the X factor. He's a key factor because this guy he just doesn't show up enough, in the playoffs. Great defensively, offensively, so up and down. But Middleton's got to be that second guy. He has to be that second guy to help Giannis. But I think Milwaukee has enough. I think, like I said, I think they got that playoff success last year, and then a disappointment. So I got Milwaukee and the Clippers in the finals.
All right. Well, there we go. We went through each team. We talking about how we feel about the NBA returning. Everybody in the comments, as you're watching this, put in the comments below who you have coming out of the East, who you have coming out the West. Looking forward to the NBA returning, man. This is what we've been waiting for. This is what we've been waiting for, man. And we're all NBA fans. We all are fans of the NBA and of our team. So very much looking forward to it. And also, as right before we end, shout out to every single NBA player, man. Westbrook was out there protesting. Giannis, Liz Cambridge,
Curry.
WNBA player Curry.
Curry and Clay came to do did the sit-in on Saturday, man. They were laying on the ground with the protesters, man.
Yep,
that was dope.
Sports is pushing this momentum, man. So we keep this thing going. They don't have nothing to do, so it's not like they got I got to go to practice. I mean, they got free time. They're using their time wisely. So I want to make sure I mention that. So we want to thank everybody for tuning in. Make sure to subscribe. Make sure to click that bell. Make sure to enter into the BS3 Radio Year of Giveaways. Shout out to our man, The Real Deal with Damian Adams. Damian Adams won the gift card. His gift card is going to be coming to him So make sure you enter in. All the instructions are right there below in the comments. You guys have a good night. Courtney, peace to you.
Thank you. Peace to everyone. Thanks for letting me come back on. I'm glad to be back on, man. It's like I said, NBA is exciting, so we're excited for it to be back. So, yeah, thanks for everything, man.
Definitely. Ty, appreciate you as always.
Oh, man, thank you for having me on as usual, man. You know, we love this.
Yeah, this is what we do. This is what we've been doing since 5th grade.
Yeah, man. Long time, brother. Long time.
And Pops, as always, man, bringing that knowledge and wisdom. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys. It's always a pleasure. I let the old man tag along, so I appreciate it. I always
need that wisdom. Need that wisdom.
Yeah, we need it.
Yeah.
All right.
We need it in every area nowadays.
Proud of all of you.
Definitely. So you guys have a good day or night wherever you're watching this video. Make sure to like, subscribe, click that bell. Have a good one. Peace.